Hello, fellow gamers. This is Umbral Dragon. And answer the question, what is Mythras? It's my first video, so you're gonna have to give me a break. I might make some mistakes, but we're doing this without cue cards, without index cards, without notes. All I got is a book right here. Okay. So Mythras is a D100 game, basically RPG. The default setting is more or less historical, Greek, Roman type, in my opinion. I could be wrong. So don't be hard on me, but I'm not a big history buff. But I do love role-playing games. Start with the contents so you can know what's inside here. We got the introduction. This kind of lays out what this book is, how this book is laid out. There's a small glossary. There's some summaries about what each chapter is about. And I've never really seen a book laid out like that to tell you what each chapter is going to be about and how to use the book in this fashion. So that was really good for me because it helped me to understand where I was headed, where I was looking for in the first stages of learning to play the game. Then you got characters. Go straight into designing a character. It's based on the assumption that you already know what a role-playing game is. So for experienced gamers who played D100 games before, this should all look kind of familiar. It shouldn't be too difficult to learn. The learning curve is going to be real simple. For those of you who've never played D100 games, this is no more complicated than making a 3.5 character. Those of you who've made 3.5 characters, you know what I'm talking about. Lots of stuff to take care of there. You got designing a character, then you go into culture and community, which is kind of a big deal in Mythras because your background, where you're from, what you used to be before you became an adventurer, all plays into the skill sets that you have or are available to you during character creation. You move from there into careers, the list of skills and what they do, economics and equipment. Of course, that's where a lot of people are drawn to, especially me. I love looking at all the weapons and armor and things like that and thinking about different things of, what if I make turtle armor, or if I make armor out of a dragon skin or something like that? What kind of encumbrance and values and things like that I'm going to have. Then it goes into the game system spot rules like acid, encumbrance, blood loss, healing, fires, things like that you're going to need. Then you go into combat, which is really the unique thing about Mythras is the combat system. And there's hit locations. I know you're going, oh man, hit locations, I'm so sick of that. No, this is not Rollmaster. Okay, so don't get into that, closed mindset. You gotta be a little bit open to growth, to understand that once you get into the combat system, it's actually really fun. I purchased the combat cards as well, so it kind of goes really fast once you get the hang of everything and at the live gaming table. So once you start playing, combat kind of clicks, and everybody wants to start to understand there is a rhythm and their flow to it. So it makes a lot of sense. And there's a long list of special effects, but they don't always apply to you. And so you get used to using certain special effects based on your weapons and your abilities, talents, things like that. So you only got a few to choose from. And you get used to using them. So you're like, I'm going to use this one, I'm going to use that one. Because you already know what they do. Because you've used them so many times. Then we go to magic. Okay, once you get into the magic section, I'm going to tell you there's 4 different types of magic here, basically. And a 5th type of magic. A 5th type of magic is the basic, like spells that everybody knows. They're kind of like cantrips. Or anybody can know, put it that way. You have to have the folk magic skill to use it. However, folk magic is fairly simple, like blade sharp, for instance. It sharpens your blade, gives you a little bonus. That's about it. Done. Okay? So you go into animism, which is the magic dealing with spirits. You got mysticism, which is like a kung fu master. increase your skills, increase your speed, things like that. You got sorcery. You guys pretty much know or familiar with that. Usually arcana, reading from a book, learning spells. Maybe you've got a pact with some otherworldly creature that's teaching you magic. Then you got theism, which is belief in God. So you guys are used to priests and clerics. That's the same thing. So you got animism, mysticism, sorcery, and theism, right? Each one of those is a separate system. They kind of all basically work the same, but they have different aspects to them that make them entirely different and unique from each other, which is really, really cool. I totally love this system. Cults and brotherhoods, which I would say kind of it trots the line between being an organization, like maybe a school of magic, right? Or a temple where you will learn all these different things. And then you got brotherhoods, which can be like the Thieves Guild, a Merchants Guild, people that are going to show you skills and talents that'll take you to the next level, right? It also gives you different ranks, right? You learn different skills at a certain level, and you can move up in rank. And since there are no levels per se in Mythras, kind of like there is in other games, mostly D20 games, this doesn't have levels. It's all based on percentage, and it's straight simple. Everything you need is on your character sheet. The rules kind of fade into the background. If you like role-playing ROLE, then you're not really, you kind of move past the, I need to roll so many dice all the time. This is a great game for that. It's really good. And then there's creatures, a whole bunch of monsters in here. There's other source books you could find more monsters if you need to. It's D100. That makes it simple. You can go to other sources that have D100 as a base, and you can convert them quite easily, or you can use them straight out of the box, like they say. Then you got games mastering, which is really helpful. Preparation, this is your game, which is kind of cool because the your game part talks about how this is a modular system, and you can take parts of it out, you can leave parts of it, you can add parts of it. You're not going to break the system. It's a very robust system. It holds up to just about anything you want to do. There's creating characters of a different sort. You can decide if you want creatures as monsters, and creatures as characters. You can also do how to do investigations, how to handle combats or social conflicts, using traps, your take on magic, right? The thing about Mythras is not only does it come with this source book here, the core rule book, there are other settings that have already been developed for Mythras, and like Luther Arkwright, Mythic Britain, Mythic Constantinople, a really cool sort of sandbox, Monster Island, which is kind of like Death Trap Dungeon, if you ask me. Really fun to play, but kind of deadly. There's some other ones. There's After the Vampire Wars. Oh man, some new stuff that's coming. There's M Space, which I totally dig. I love M Space. Odd Soot, ODDSOOT. Odd Soot. Very cool game. Something else about Mythras is it uses a system called passions. And you don't have to use them. Some people are kind of like leery about using them because it kind of gives a game master a hook into your character's psyche. There's no alignments here. You got sort of like a loyalty, right? So you could be loyal to your village or to your tribe. You have a love and a hate. These are just some of the basic things. You can add more stuff. You can be passionate about more things. You can have 6 passions if you want to. I would start with the 3 basic ones, loyalty, love, and hate, and then just kind of work with that, and don't worry about getting into too much trouble with that, because once it comes down to it and you start making rolls against your passions, You can decide whether or not you want to keep using them after that. It's not a hard and fast rule. You got to keep it. There's nothing in Mythras you got to keep. You don't like the combat system with all these special effects? Man, you don't have to have special effects. You don't like hit locations? Man, you can just use straight hit points if you want to. There's rules in here for that. There's a plethora of information that you can access on the website, such as firearms. So, like, let's say you want to use black powder weapons. You want to give a wheel-lock pistol to a pirate. Hey, man, that sounds great. That's perfect, right, for the setting. So, what I'm saying is, I think Mythras is a really good fit for a lot of people. In fact, it's my favorite go-to game. And I'm not going to lie, I'm biased. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons for such a long time. Man, I had memorized all the rules, everything like that. Mythras, every game is different. Every table, every gaming table, GM and setting, and it's going to be different. I like playing in the shores of Coranthia. I totally love it. Right now I'm running Legend of the Spider God's Bride, which is from an old Legend. Just all I did was convert it to Mythras. It's a D100 system, so not too difficult. Yeah, I think that's it. That's about it. I mean, Mythras is not that difficult to pick up. If you know somebody that that's already playing it, I would go ahead and join them for maybe a one-shot game. As a side note, I will tell you that combat in Mythras is gritty. You get hit one time, you might survive if you have armor. You get hit in the head, you better be wearing a helmet, okay? Because there are hit locations, all right? Other than that, you get hit again, your chances of being wounded and then, having to succumb to fatigue or passing out from blood loss, all these other things that happen in combat can happen real quick, real fast. And combats don't usually last more than 2 or 3 rounds. And, many people will attest to that, and they will say, yeah, you're right, it only lasts 2 or 3 rounds. Because you get actions, you get so many actions, right? And everybody's taking all these different actions during a round. When you got 5 or 6 people, right, and you multiply the number of actions that's going on, it gets pretty intense, okay? And then once that's over, and you're picking up the bodies, or you got people who are surrender. This is a survival game sometimes, right? Combat's one of those things where you get into, you better have one of 2 skills, right? Run away and run away faster. Sometimes that's what's important, because some of these monsters, some of these people that you come across, your character's going to be meeting, they may not all be equal to you, right? We're not talking about play balance in Mythras a whole lot. Don't really worry too much about that, because play balance is one of those things where it's not real. It's not realistic. A dragon is big, huge, humongous. You're trying to take on a dragon, man, you better have some stuff. You better come with it, because them dragons will take you down quick. A Mythras dragon ain't nothing to sneeze at. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, very deadly combat. I happen to like it. I just love this game. And I can't speak enough about it. And that's probably my biggest problem, is I got a big mouth, and I love Mythras. I've done some other conversions for some other game system settings that I really like. And like I said, there's a bunch of other settings for Mythras. You don't have to just stick with what's in the book. The default setting, Myros, or the realms. There's also classic fantasy. You want to do some dungeon crawling. And one last thing, let me not forget, is if you go to the Design Mechanism website and you go to the forum, man, that community is just amazing. Shout out to Matt E. Shout out to Ralil. I mean, amazing. This is just great. I mean, Pete and Lowe's are on there all the time, giving you the lowdown on how they intended the design to be, but they're not restricting you. They're not saying you need to play this way. They say, okay, this is how we intended it, but you can do with it what you want to. It's your Mythras, it's your game. You can do whatever you want to. There's lots of people on there. We got some rules lawyers that are amazing, and they're not bad. They're not like trying to make you feel bad, but they will show you like page numbers and things like that where you can find stuff, right? They're very helpful, right? It's good to have rules lawyers that know what they're doing and can lead you in the right direction. But then again, like I said, Mythras is totally expandable. It's modular. You can do whatever you want to with it. Man, you want to play Micronauts with Mythras? Go ahead. It's there, okay? You want to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? You can do it with this. It's not that big of a deal to create those types of characters and run that type of campaign. Anyways, this video's gone on long enough, and next time I'm going to talk about what is a role-playing game, and maybe some more basics and fundamentals of role-playing to help lead you into starting a game of Mythras and game mastering. Got to do game mastering. Love game mastering. Okay, so check y'all later. Again, this is Umbral Dragon. Man, you guys have a great game. Enjoy your game. Enjoy your friendships and all the connections that you make at the table. And have a great day.